she said roughly, and it's always, of course, rough, but roughly somewhere in the neighborhood of 250 to 325 people that they would say are unhoused in McLennan County on average. Well, Creekside Community Village at build-out will be somewhere around 300 people. 300 people could live out there. So it is not an exaggeration. It is not hyperbole, I don't think, to say that this initiative has the potential to end homelessness in Waco, Texas. So do you see how words like audacious and ambitious might be, well, actually appropriate? I hope so. I think that's pretty remarkable what they're doing. Now, speaking of audacious and ambitious, perhaps those are words that one might think to say when someone like me, or by proxy, the outreach team stands before you and says, we need $50,000. I mean, as a matter of fact, I have plenty of pastor friends that this is a thing in sort of the pastor-preacher world that, hey, be a little careful with special offerings and requests for special offerings, because the last thing you want to do in congregational leadership is put things like this in front of your folks, in front of your church, in front of your people, when we also need them to just do their regular giving as well and give to the church and their tithes and their offerings and in their weekly thing as well. So I get that. I understand that. I do think that it is ambitious in multiple ways. I think it's even ambitious for us as a church family, as Central Christian Church, to consider the possibility of doing what about 11 churches have done so far, and that is to fully fund, to fully sponsor one of these small homes. You did notice we had one laid out there in the narthex when you came in. Nice visualization, speaking of our outreach team that put that together. I do think it's ambitious, for sure. And I do think it is a big ask, for sure. But I also think it's what we do. It's what we do. It just simply is. There is a history. There is a track record of this sort of thing in the 1990s when a Habitat for Humanity home cost roughly about this same price that now this square footage costs. You did it. You did it then. You fully funded a Habitat home, and you built it, actually. And so I know there's precedent. I know there's history. But it's still audacious. It's still a big ask. It's still ambitious, but it's still what we do. And I thought, well, you know what? To illustrate that even more so, to reinforce that point, to offer some evidence, I guess you might say, we sometimes do this during the summer, so I guess I'm kind of, I don't know, what's the phrase? Multiple catching two birds, one stone, whatever that is. Because we've had some mission trips and we've had some service opportunities during the summer, and so often when part of our congregation or teams or groups go from our church to serve, it's really, really edifying and really, really inspiring and uplifting to hear about some of the things they've done. So we've needed to do that anyway. But I thought to show you, to illustrate that this is just who we are, this is just what we do. Well, I have some friends that are going to come up and help me. So we had a youth group mission trip just recently to the Kerrville area. So I think Carson Garrett is going to come up here. Actually, Carson Garrett, that is your cue to come up here. Raymond is going to come and join us. He was a participant on the adult mission trip way back at the beginning of June, so he's coming up here as well. But mission trips are not just the way this church puts its faith into action. Oh, golly, no. We do it in all kinds of ways. We have a really, really neat project right before Easter every year, Do Good Friday. And so Georgetta Duncan is a big part of that every year, and so I asked her to think a little bit about why that's important and why she does that. We have an event every fall that the church does together called Church Has Left the Building. And so who did I recruit for that? Barbara Powell. Come on down. And then finally, we've done Church Has Left the Building for about 8 years. We've done Do Good Friday for about 12 years. There's a history of mission trips, but we've done Church Under the Bridge, serving a meal once a month for, about 31 years. And so Haley Terry, who's big into that, is going to come up. And so I love this. I've told you this before. This is one of my favorite parts of church life, is when people tell their story a little bit, when they share, when they're a witness to their faith. And this is one of the ways that we do witness to our faith. So the prompt I gave them, what I asked them to work on and to think about and be ready for, very simple. One question each is why? Why is serving in this capacity, what you're representing here, why was it meaningful? Why is it meaningful? Why is it rewarding for you? Pretty simple, right? Well, let's see how ready they are. So, Carson, talk a little bit about the youth mission trip this summer and why it was rewarding for you.
Yeah, so we went to Kerrville. We helped with flood relief down after the flooding last year. And I think the thing that I took away most from the trip was the type of empowerment that I got. Every day, well, not every day, but a lot of the days, we would go down and work 5 to 6 hours in the sun. And while it's exhausting work, it's, like once you get done, it's like, wow, like this is one of the most worthwhile things that I feel like I've ever done in my life. And so I started rereading the Bible from the very beginning, because the first time I did like an order, with like a guide. And I think the thing that I got the most from that as well is like, if I had to pick one call to action from the Bible, it's to serve. And that is exactly why we were there, and that is exactly what we did. And I think that was my biggest takeaway from the trip.
Wow. Also, he's a strapping young lad, isn't he? You need someone like this on every mission trip you go on. All right, Raymond, you got to follow that. You remember back to June, the adult mission trip? Raymond, when I saw that he was going to go, I was very excited because I had seen him work on like Habitat job sites and other places. And I'll just say he did not disappoint. He was a very, very hard worker on the trip. But why? What did you get out of it?
Well, I guess the main thing that I got out of it was the church allowed me to go, for one. We all saw the devastation in the news and everything, and it was because of this church that I was able to go and help out. And I guess the reward mainly was all the happy faces, the appreciation that we got from the people that we did help. And that's pretty much it, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. Well, like I said, our service opportunities, our projects, they're not just one-offs. We've done Do Good Friday for year after year after year, even when we were unsure about some of the leadership, but it's all still comes together, and it was awesome, and it continues to be awesome. Miss Georgetta, I got a picture of you with your hairnet.
With my hairnet? Oh, yes.
That's right.
That's my favorite part of Do Good Friday.
What do you like about that?
So we package meals for Kids Against Hunger, and it's great teamwork, a lot of energy, and it's really exciting to know that you can work 2 to 2.5 hours and package 15,000 to 17,000 meals that are distributed in the U.S. and distributed overseas. And so it's very rewarding to make that contribution of your time, knowing that children are going to be fed, at that volume.
Thank you. And one of the awesome parts of that event is that we often say 2 to 92 can serve, can do something. I think I really need to expand those numbers because we talk about being intergenerational around here a lot. It really, really is. It's great. Okay, which one do I have next? I have churches left the building. Okay, if you're one of those visitors, this is where we come to church, but then we go out and serve our community on a Sunday morning in about 8 to 10 different projects throughout the community, and we've been doing this a long time. And so what ends up happening is it's great because we build these relationships with some of these ministries and agencies and organizations. And I think Ms. Barbara is kind of a witness to what that relationship looks like. So talk about your participation in that event.
Well, I will say that Jerry and I, my husband, and I have done lots and lots of different things for churches over the years. Never left the building on a Sunday morning to go serve. And so Churches Left the Building is an unusual sort of outreach, but also very effective in that we're all together, we divide up, we go to the different agencies in town that need a little help. And you're exposed to those agencies, what they do. And the first year we went, I believe we went to Shepherd's Heart. And Jerry drove the route, and I think he drove and Brad was with you maybe, or did Brad drive? And no. And that kind of struck a chord with him, that there's a need here, and they did need drivers. They need people to help. So that started a Tuesday morning drive since then, I think. And it's been very rewarding and meaningful. So in a way, by us leaving the building and taking the church with us, that's pretty rewarding and meaningful. So that's been special to us.
Good job. That's exactly what I wanted you to say. Okay, or something like that. It is pretty, honestly, I think just going out that morning and serving, but the fact that some folks in our congregation have continued to do that in addition to just that morning is, well, it's what it's all about. It's really awesome. But here is my friend Haley, and this is such a great ministry because it happens month after month after month, and we've been doing it for a very long time, and Haley's been doing it for a very long time. Why have you been doing it for a very long time, Miss Haley?
Well, it's really amazing to get to go out to Under the Bridge and serve that hot meal and give them the sack lunches and know that they're going to be fed. Knowing that they have some stability of something that they can look forward to is going to happen every week, every month, and it just to get to see the smile on their faces and have the conversation with them about how everything's going for them is just so amazing. You can see a difference you're making as you're doing it, and coming back month after month, you get to see these people over and over and keep up with their life and see how they're doing. So it's just amazing to me.
Thank you. Y'all are good. You know, I think those five in particular are great witnesses for some of our ways that we are serving our community, but I probably could have picked just about any of you because I know so many of you serve in our community. The last one, Church Under the Bridge, is especially neat because, speaking of from the lakeshore to the creekside, some of the people that worship at Church Under the Bridge are some of the ones that are moving in to Creekside Village. So that's a nice connection. That's a nice partnership. You know, it is who we are, and it is what we do. And I do think that a little bit of sharing bears witness to that and is evidence of that.